I'm ready when you are.
Wait for Kate.
Okay, can I have your attention, like to call the meeting to order? We'll start with the flag. The flag is in the back.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to be entering into executive session for this meeting. When we come out of executive session, we'll be just coming back in the open session to adjourn the meeting. So I'll read the motion here to go into executive session, and then I'll accept the motion to do so. I move that the Board of Selectmen convene executive session pursuant to provisions of General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21, subsection 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation of negotiations with non-union personnel.
So
Do I hear a second? Second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Pat?
yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Jeff?
No.
Chris?
Yes.
And yes. So everybody will have to leave.
Question out here on the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I was talking to the Attorney General, and he stated that there is no law stating that the Board of Selectmen have to stay in their position, and all of us townspeople will have to go out in the hall and hang around. Now, I'm respectfully asking the board to retire to some other place so that we, townspeople, can stay here in relative comfort.
In the future, we could consider that. However, since our executive session is posted in this room, we have to stay here.
Now, I had mentioned at previous meetings about this particular issue, and I asked you at that particular time that anytime you go to executive session, that you go to another room. I mean, I thought that was very, very clear about 2 or 3 meetings ago when you had an executive session. You people, I mean, we're talking, but you are not listening and not responding to us.
Well, all right, does the board have any issue about going into the other room? No, it's still, we have to have it in here, so everybody's gonna have to leave. We have another meeting at 6:30, the motions are made and voted, we're going into executive session. So everybody needs to leave now.
You do not have to leave this room. You can move to another area, the same way we did on October 11th, where the board and the attorneys went to the library. It wasn't posted that we were going to
It's
the library.
posted in the middle school cafeteria.
This is the middle school cafeteria.
That's the high school.
Do you have any chance for the elderly out there in the hall that want to wait, or, you know,
There's a whole bunch of them in the back. What? Okay, I'll accept the motion.
I move to reopen the regular session.
Any discussion?
Move to adjourn executive session. Open session.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Pat? Yes. Virginia?
Yes.
Chris? Yes. Jeff?
Yes.
And yes. With that, so we'll open the 6:30 meeting in about 5 minutes. Okay, I'd like to bring this meeting to order. Start with the pledge of allegiance, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have several sets of minutes here to approve. First one is February 29th, 2012. Anybody's ready? I'll accept the motion.
Move to accept the minutes of February 29th.
Is there a second?
Chris.
Chris? Any discussion? Hearing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And yes. Minutes from second set of minutes, 6:30, February 29th, 2012. Motion made to accept these minutes. Here a second.
Second.
And a second, any discussion? Hearing none. Jeff?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
And yes. Motion to accept the minutes from March 5th, 2012.
Move to accept the minutes from March 5th, 2012.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jeff? Oh.
Discussion.
Yep.
They left out the reason why Mr. Ducharme was not. Sorry. I think there was a little omission in the minutes. The reason why Mr. Ducharme was not.
That's the previous set.
Oh, it came with this one. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. No further discussion, Jeff?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Pat? And, okay, Pat abstains. Okay, and minutes from March 26, 2012.
All right. This one does not have a date on it. See the date on it.
We'll approve these with the, adding the date at the top. I hear a motion to accept March 26, 2012 with that addition.
Move to accept the minutes of March 26, 2012 with the addition of the date.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
This is the one I wanted.
Okay. Go ahead, now, Liz.
This is the one where we have a lot of detail about the other ones, but we don't mention why Mr. Ducharme was not, the reason that we all ended up voting against him was because he wasn't going to be able to be here for like 4 or 5 weeks, he said, and we were paying a vendor a lot of money at that time, so we wanted to get it done. I think that addition needs to be made.
Okay, will you make that addition? Okay, approval of the minutes for March 26 with that addition. Any more discussion? Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, we have an update. Ruth Miller, Narragansett.
Good evening.
I know you don't want to.
Good evening. I have 2 updates for you. One is the school committee had their final hearing on the budget, and I wanted to review that with you at first. So I guess it's just time to give you some papers. Okay, what I'd like to do is start with the income sheet, this one here. Basically, the way that we constructed the budget this year was to look at what our revenues would be, and then we balanced out our expenses to match our revenues. And so if you look at the column which says FY13, it says Chapter 70, we are getting $9,607,394,000. That is level funded from the year before. Then the next one down, it says circuit breaker, and that's $265,910. What circuit breaker is it's a type of reimbursement for a special education population, a certain percentage that we go over when we spend over a certain dollar amount on those children. The next line down, you'll see MSBA reimbursement, and it says $100,000. If you look to the column just to the left in FY12, you'll see it says $1,296,534. And I gave you this sheet here, which is the refinancing of some of our debt, that explains that number and why it went down by $1 million. This high school, middle school renovation, or this building project, that's what you've been paying for over the last however many years. There were 2 notes on that, on the building, that hadn't been refinanced. You refinanced, I think it was like 4 years ago, and got a tremendous drop in the rate. There were 2 more notes that we could refinance. We did this because your roof project is that's completed now, so we had to go out for financing for that. So by refinancing that debt, MSBA paid in full everything that they owed on the high school, middle school project. And that's why this number dropped to $100,000. But the other thing it did, by us refinancing that debt, it saved over $66,000 of, because we're gonna get a much lower interest rate. So your payments aren't really, they're gonna go up a little bit because we're adding the roof project to it, but we had quite a bit of savings. Instead of having to finance it out over 5 or 10 years, we were able to do this in 3 years and really not have any significant increase at all in your payments. So that, I know it's a little complicated. The good news is that MSBA paid us off, and that we saved $66,000 on the roof project, which is a good thing. Okay, so that's why you'll see that at the bottom of this, our overall budget for the school went down by $1 million. Well, it really didn't go down by $1 million. It's just that MSBA paid us off. So instead of showing a revenue of $1.2 million, it's only $100,000. So the next line down is charter school reimbursement, and that's $18,157. We have a charter school in the district some kids go to, and there's a formula by which we get some reimbursement by the state. It looks like this will probably be the last time we get that money. The next line down is Chapter 71, which is our regional transportation, and we're getting $182,688. Last year, we got $302,346. The reimbursement comes in a year behind, and when we reduced the cost of the buses, we spent less money, and when you spend less money, you're going to get less money back. So that's why that dropped down. Then the next line down has a 0 in it, and it's there just to represent, last year we had $285,000 in jobs money, and if you recall that our Chapter 70 was cut by a lot over the last couple of years, and what the feds did was they did a jobs bill specifically for saving jobs. So we had gotten about $500,000 over in FY11. Well, we used half of it in FY11, and we saved half of it for FY12, knowing that if we used it all, it would be a huge drop. So that's why you're feeling a bit of a drop in our revenues this year, because we no longer have that jobs money, and we no longer have SFSF or any federal assistance. That's why this FY13 is going to be such a difficult year. So from state aid, you're going to get $10,174,149. The next one is transfer from excess and deficiency, E&D. And you'll see it's $96,165. Okay? And last year we had $65,000, and the year before that we had $330,519. That is actually what we spend in E&D. So the way it works is, our auditor comes in, he audits the books, and then we have some money left over from the fiscal year, and we literally always have some money left over. We would like it to be about $200,000. That's what our auditor would be comfortable with. But over the last couple of years, we've had such tight budgets, we've used almost every penny. So So this year, the auditor just finished up. I'm not even quite sure what E&D is gonna be, but that money rolls over and it all goes right into the next fiscal year to be used. So we don't have any reserve money at all in E&D. What you see there is what was left over in FY 12, and so whatever we have in FY 12 will roll over to FY 14. So there is not a pool of money for E&D. So 96,165 is what we had left over. If you look down Medicaid, 108,000, some of our kids go out and have medical that they can get reimbursement for, so that's a reimbursement that we get. School choice, $828,804. That is how much we take in for school choice. So with the kids coming into our district, they bring in $828,000. Now, there is a reserve account on the school choice funds. And when, I think Dr. Hemmen was here, when times were better, he's tucked away some of the savings. Well, there's not really savings, because our school choice out for next year is, hold on one second, I'll tell you, $603,600. So next year, we're gonna take in $828,000, but we are gonna send out $603,000 just in school choice. And this, I don't have the number, but there is also charter school money going out. So we have about $100,000 to $150,000 to the good between income and money coming in and money going out. So in good years, Dr. Hemmings tried to save some of that money, but the last few years, we have been using all of our income, so even the excess of $100,000 to offset the budget. And you can see, last year our school choice was $638,675. So we are attracting more students here to Narragansett because of the programming. Athletic revolving is $31,000. That's, the $31,000 actually represents exactly what the user fees were. We collected $31,000 in user fees. And we have been pulling money out of the athletic revolving account the last couple of years, $25,000, $30,000 at a time, and that reserve is getting very low. Now the next two lines, reserve school choice, $278,821, and then an additional reserves of $150,000. This is money that we were taking out of that school choice revolving that we had been saving. We've been saving it for a rainy day, and so we withdrew it. So we're using all of our $828,000 that we're taking in, plus an additional $414,996. Last year, we used an additional $317,526 out of that school choice reserve. If you look at this last sheet I gave you, look back to this one here. That's an accounting of the reserve account. In the beginning of July 1st of 2011, that account had $1,296,122.98 in it. That year, fiscal FY12, this fiscal year, we took in $749,970 in revenues. It's coming here. If you count the revenues plus the additional $317,526, that shows that we withdrew from that account $1,067,496. So our fund balance as of June 30th, 2012 will be $978,596.98. We anticipate taking in the $828,804. We're going to spend all of that plus an additional $414,996. So the total amount we're taking out of that reserve account is $1,243,800. So at the end of June 2013, so at the end of next fiscal year, we will only have $563,601 in that reserve account. That is the total reserve we have for the entire district. Our auditor said he's letting it go, it's 2.5% of our budget, but he said we should have a minimum of 5% reserves. What do we need reserves for? Let's say we had, I don't know, a student suddenly have to go to a very expensive out-of-district placement. Let's say the high school boilers went. Let's say, I mean, a host of things that could happen. We understand that the towns don't have the money to pay for some of the big financial things that could happen to the district. So we really are required to have some reserves, and we have been using those reserves over the last couple of years. Anyhow, so that's that. Now if we go back to the income sheet, so the other estimated receipts are $11,666,939. So Templeton's minimum contribution as set by the state is $3,509,516. That is an increase from last year's minimum contribution of $101,264. The additional appropriation is $578,316. That was the override money that had been voted years back. The transportation is up $570,019 from $474. That's by regional agreement that you need to pay. And then the debt service is $437,480, which is slightly up because of that, the roof project getting added on. Then below that, you'll see Phillipson's share of the same thing, the minimum contribution, the additional contributions. Theirs is smaller because they only have 17.51% of the population, and Templeton has 82.49% of the population. So with the town assessments, the state receipts, and the income, the total income comes to $18,310,683, which is what we based our budget on. Do you have any questions?
So do I understand correctly that there is nothing left in E&D now?
We don't even have a reserve account at E&D. We don't even have an account that says E&D because every year we just roll it over to the following year, yes.
Anyone in the audience?
I believe at the meeting that was held last Wednesday, the town accountant Scott Sawyer mentioned that the debt service had gone up $40,000.
30, hold on, I'll tell you what it is. It's on the sheet.
39,647.
What is it?
39,647.
39,647.
And that's due to the roof?
It's, yeah, no, it's the adding on of the roof. No, the refinancing helped us, but when the roof project finished, and then we had to go out to, and secure that debt. So that's the roof project.
So even though we ended up saving with the refinancing, our overall cost for our debt went up?
Yes,
To
yes,
$40,000.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because the roof was not quite $500,000. I think the debt was 440,000, and it's combined by the two towns, and then it's by your percentage of students you have, what portion you pay, and that fluctuates from year to year.
Now, is the roof completed?
Yeah, it's complete, it's probably one of the best roofs in the state, believe it or not, the only one that actually met all the codes. It is, according to people, I certainly didn't go up on the roof, but according to people that go up on the roof, they're like amazed at the roof that we have. I don't know, so if any like roofs, will check it out.
It was so good, how come they only bonded for so long, that roof, material and stuff? How long's the bond for that roof, 10 years?
No, we were able to get it under that. It's all rolled in, and so it ended up being 3 years that we ended up doing it for, but the warranty for it
Yeah.
is, I think it's at least 20 years. I don't believe it's a 30-year.
in the back.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what kind of savings has the school seen from having windmills so the energy costs are down? I've never seen anything about, what would gain from that.
The only thing that the school gets from that is $5,000 lease payment per year.
Where does the rest of the, does it just go to the,
It goes to the Templeton Light, no, is it Templeton Light? Yeah, I said that right.
okay, so does that reduce everybody's bill? Where does, there's money being made somewhere, I just wondering where it's gone.
I think you'd have to talk to who's ever in charge of the light company.
Oh, I didn't see. Yes.
Just a quickie question, I probably don't understand all the politics and the financing of this, but if we appropriate the $400,000 for the roof, wasn't that like given to you? Why would we have to refinance that? I guess I don't understand that.
Okay, let me explain to you. You actually voted for $1 million. And because you have to vote for the whole entire roof project, including the MSBA's portion, and then once we spend it, they reimburse us. So after they reimburse their portion, we were down to about $440,000. And then we just borrowed some notes while we did the construction, and when we got the final actual dollar amount, we then went out and secured the note for it.
How much is that?
With like $440,000, but you share that percentage with Phillipston. You pay 82% and they pay 17.5%. Does that clear it up?
Yes.
All right, thanks.
I have to go through the chair.
Yes, I was, excuse me, I was just,
Okay.
go ahead.
All right, my question is the 18,310,683 figure that you just quoted, does that include the override amount?
What override amount? Are you talking about the override that the chief and I came and talked about the other day?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, that dollar amount is in there. I think it would be, yes, it's in there.
Okay, so that includes, that's anticipated
Right, so
override.
if the override does not pass, then that would get cut by, I think it's about $225,000, because it's not completely the total increase, because the debt service has to be paid regardless. Right, okay.
Dan?
Yeah, just a clarification on the roof, please. If I understood you, you said that the final cost of the roof was approximately $430,000, and then Templeton's share of that is something less.
Yes.
And I think you said that the long-term debt increased by approximately $42,000.
39,000.
39,000, thank you. And then you said you were gonna pay for that over 3 years
Yes,
for the roof? So, do I
but
understand?
it's all rolled in.
Do I understand that Templeton's portion of the long-term debt on the roof is $39,000 a year for 3 years?
No,
That's the
Okay,
increase.
can you help me understand that?
it's, by taking those two notes, there were two notes that could be rewritten, and then there was a portion that couldn't. Basically, what we did was we rolled all of your debt together to get it at a reduced rate, and then, and this is gonna, then instead of doing 5 years, we were able to push the payment in 3 years for the roof. And it really is pretty complicated. I'd have to sit down. I have a schedule of your payments so that you can see that they're not going up exponentially. It is a banker that did all this and advised
So
us.
is it fair to say then that part of the cost of reducing the interest rates, the cost of the roof is offset by the cost savings you achieved for rewriting the loan?
Some of it, $66,000 in the next year. I think it's next year, the next couple of years. And then there was like a $8,000 savings on the debt portion in this fiscal year. So, but it's not all that clean, because we're talking about notes and how much MSBA owns, how much we owe, and then splitting it between you and Phillipston.
But in any case, the cost of the roof, the portion of a long-term debt for the roof will be paid for in 3 years.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Okay. You have any other items?
I have another item. Okay. Tomorrow, we are going to be going to MSBA, because you know that we have an elementary school building project. And we had an extension to June 10th of this year. And it either expires and goes away and the feasibility study ends, or we have gotten into a plan with MSBA and a contract and a building started. So we've contacted MSBA and asked them, you know, what will movement forward, because I think you have heard this in many times, that as long as there's some movement forward, we're going to be okay with the MSBA. The building committee has decided that the preferred option for the elementary school will be the piece of land that's off of exit 20 on Baldwinville Road. What I'm asking you to do is, there's a purchase and sales that I have a sample of. I heard that laugh. And let me clarify. So could you just pass these left and right? So here's how it works. For MSBA, we need to have control of a piece of land if we want to move forward and develop the feasibility study for it. That doesn't mean we have to own it. Do you need more? Anyhow, you don't have to own it, you just have to have control of it. And control means having a signed purchase and sales agreement. Now, I know there's a lot of conversation about all the liens that are on this piece of land and who owns and actually controls a piece of land. And the truth to the matter is, the information you got from, I think, the assessor's office was very accurate. The owner of the land is not the bank. The bank is the first and third, I believe, fourth or fifth lien holder. There is a lawyer that has sent in information on when we put out a request for proposal on land. And that is what you have in front of you. They've replied. That lawyer represents the bank, who also is representing that he can sign a purchase and sales that gives us a clear title to the land. So that as a part of this purchase and sale, there'll be all sorts of contingencies on it. There'll be a contingency that if the voters don't vote for a building project on that land at town meeting or at the ballot, then you're not going to be obligated to buy the land. It'll be a contingency saying it has to have a crystal clear title. If it doesn't, then you're not obligated to the land. So there's really no money on this. What this does is, your lawyer, your town lawyers are now working with this lawyer to work out, negotiate. Your town lawyer is working with this lawyer to negotiate this purchase and sales agreement. What I'm asking is for you to, once it's past the muster of your attorney, and that it meets all the requirements, which is it has it's clean title and all of that, that you as a board sign the purchase and sale. If you take a vote tonight to that effect, what that will do is we go to MSBA and we'll say, we have a purchase and sale, or we will in a couple weeks, that gives us control of the land, in which case we then can move forward with developing a school project on it. It's not going to commit you in any other way. Your town accountant wouldn't let, your town lawyer wouldn't let you. I can't, I'm wrong. At any rate, there's no way that if you have two lawyers, all right, yeah, this is probably bad. This is where I'm being naive. Okay. What? Oh, I know. Well, I believe that if the lawyer's going to say that he can do this, and he can't, you're certainly not going to sign it unless it meets all the requirements of MSBA and all the requirements of your town.
There's no work either.
but, hold on. What I'm saying is, if you can do this, vote for signing a purchase and sales after your town lawyer has worked closely and negotiated with this other lawyer, understanding that all the liens will be gone and it will be lien-free and all those other contingencies saying upon the approval of a school. And if you can't get a purchase and sales that says that, then you won't sign it. That's all I'm asking you to do, is keep us alive and in the ballgame tomorrow with MSBA.
You read that.
I'll read
That's
this?
what we got. Well, you just for yourself, that's what it says.
Okay.
You only have 2 copies.
Yeah, this would be a great vote. Do you want me to read it?
Good, yeah, Chris has something.
The lawyers listed on here
Yep.
are not our lawyers. I don't know if you realize.
No, that was a sample from the RFQ.
Okay, I just want to make sure that.
No, it's Mrs. Copeland and
Yes.
that's not the one, it's a sample one that was from the,
I just want to make sure.
yeah. No, your attorneys have been reached.
So, we can act on this, it will not tie the town.
No.
Kurt? Yeah, would anybody care to say how many hundreds of thousands of dollars is going on this P&S? I haven't heard the number yet.
On the purchase and sale,
Yes.
755,000, I believe.
775.
Sorry, $775,000.
Jeff, do you have any, you've been talking with the lawyer, do you have any?
Well, let me say that.
And we own something smaller, right?
Town council has been consulted in this, has a copy of the response that was written by the attorney for Colonial Cooperative Bank, and is reviewing the proposed purchase and sale, and is prepared, subject to the board's direction, to negotiate this purchase and sale with Colonial Cooperative Bank. So they're waiting to get a green light to actually negotiate.
Should we make the motion? We're at discussion.
Yeah, I'm just gonna read this, what's suggested here for tonight. Move that the town begin negotiation for property at 223 Baltimore Road on substantially the same terms and conditions specified in a proposed purchase sales agreement submitted in response to our request for proposals published September 21st, 2011, and responded to on October 21st, 2011, by Attorney Richard Seller, acting on behalf of Colonial Cooperative Bank. Diana, do you have something?
Yeah. I didn't follow what Jeff said, but you're saying you're gonna negotiate with Colonial Co-op, but yet we just heard that they don't own the property. So why would you
The attorney is representing that he can negotiate this. It may turn out he can't, but they're not gonna sign anything until all of it's been negotiated. So what Jeff was saying was your attorney wants to negotiate right now with this bank's attorney, but he's representing that he has the ability to pull this off. Whether he does or don't, we don't know that.
interested?
Has anybody spoken with the owner of record, Mr. Lance Kovac? So we're paying our attorney, if I may follow up. So we're paying our attorney to negotiate with Colonial Co-op's attorney, who basically, in my opinion, has no standing, because all they are is the first mortgage holder. And I have spoken with Mr. Kovic, and he has no intention of working with Colonial Co-op. And as a matter of fact, he's in the process of finding his own buyers, because, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Planning Board, worth more than 700 whatever thousand.
Yeah.
that's just that's just what I know about it. I believe we're spending money to have our lawyers do something that would be like, hi, Colonial goes and says to Virginia, you wanna negotiate on Sue Burns' house? Here, have a purchase and sale with me. Guess what? You don't own it, I do. Lance has to sign off on that,
I agree with you, he has to.
and he's not gonna.
And it wouldn't go through.
It wouldn't go through, it
Well,
would, yeah.
well,
no,
okay,
So what's it gonna cost us?
Yeah. Again.
I have a couple of questions. The first is, the town voted for a feasibility study, the amount of $550,000 a few years ago. Is that enough money to complete this project? Because I believe over $100,000, $150,000 has already been spent out of that amount of money.
We're presenting tomorrow, my understanding is we're presenting tomorrow that we have enough money remaining to be able to fulfill the whole feasibility, yes.
Okay, without going for.
Without going back for more money.
My other question is, which attorney from Copeland and Page is working on this deal with the bank's attorney?
Sharon Everett.
Sharon Everett, and this is the same attorney who worked on the purchase and sale and the settlement agreement and a number of other items for 252 Baldwinville Road. The town paid off close to $400,000 on an invoice, on an email that was signed by 3 selectmen and processed. $399,975 was signed off on the basis of an email that was signed by 3 selectmen. The settlement agreement did not even list the address of the property. I believe we need more due diligence to say that the town's attorney is going to do this, and it's the same attorney where a number of material weaknesses were found in 252 Baldwinville Road. I urge you to be very cautious.
I guess Bob was next, and then Kenny, you have your hand up?
I think we all had the same issue. I don't know if everybody could quite hear her or not, but I wanted to know, is this the same lawyer that did the due diligence supposedly on 252 Baldwin Road? Because we don't need that kind of town council.
Anyone else?
Bob, I was just curious, what's this costing us for the lawyers for this?
They haven't started negotiating, so I don't know where.
So there's a bill coming on this too?
For nothing, maybe.
Once they start working on it, yeah. Well, Bumpsy, I guess.
I only have one question. It always seems that the town of Templin ends up paying more than they should. So what was the outside appraisal value on this piece of land? Because surely you have an outside appraisal come in.
We went out for a request for proposal, asking people to submit pieces of land, so that's how.
No, that wasn't the question.
I know, so that, but that was the process, we didn't do, there wasn't a process of an appraisal. I think that, your assessor's office or someone else can verify that the value of it
Oh, I
is worth it.
understand that, but it would seem to me, before you go to a purchase and sale agreement, that you would have an outside appraisal done on that piece of land to make sure that, I think this is a wonderful piece of land. But, and if we end up buying it, great. I don't think so. I think the town should pay only fair value for it. And the only way they're gonna arrive at that fair value is to have an outside appraisal come in, and you haven't done it yet, that I know of. Do you know of that being done?
I don't know of an appraisal per se. I think that there was definite research done by our OPM.
I think we're putting the town in the box.
We're not buying anything. We're just trying to keep our project alive.
I know it, but we're basically committing the town.
No,
No.
no, we're not.
Then why do it?
because that's what MSBA requires for us to move forward, so that then the town can decide at
I
town meeting
understand what
floor
you're
and
saying.
in the ballot whether they want this building or not. That it's just giving the townspeople an option. Right now, we keep hearing, we want to see what it's gonna be, but boy, we've been looking for land for years.
I know you have. I just wish that you would come in with this type of thing, with an owner of the property.
I
And
agree.
you haven't, and I don't know why you haven't. You know why you haven't come in with a proposal with the owner of the property.
I guess I can only say that our owner's project manager, who's experienced in these kinds of things, and our superintendent, who's also conferred, I think, with our attorney, has pointed us in this direction, as this is a more than fair, if not a bargain price on this piece of land, that it would be a good thing for the elementary school. In addition to that, it's 40 acres, the elementary school only needs 10. The town can either use it or sell it, but the reality is, there was just no other piece of land in this town that wasn't spongy wet. I mean, that's the problematic. So from when I got involved in the project recently, my understanding is that these people with their expertise have vetted this out. That's probably not the answer you're looking for, but that's the best I can give you tonight.
Yeah, this is not tying the town to any monetary amount right now. It's just that they gotta meet with, yeah.
Please don't say that.
Well, they're meeting with MSBA tomorrow morning. They're just trying to move the project forward. Penny?
Ms. Bill, with all due respect, I understand what you're saying, and you are very knowledgeable, but it just seems to me this is like the infomercials on TV. Hurry up, let's act now, otherwise you're gonna miss out on it. And I just feel like you're pressuring us into doing this when there are really other options. Obviously, most members don't want to do this, and it's like you're pushing it, and we say no, 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 and you're still pushing it. Hurry up and act now, because whatever, well, I just think it's kind of ridiculous.
I'd like to know the other options. I really would like to know the other options, because.
And many wonderful suggestions from all the people here.
And I have to, what I have to tell you is, we have reams of research on
I'm sure
every
you do.
piece of property that came forward.
Mhm.
Right now, at this point in time, we have this piece of property, which is what the building committee as a whole, based on all their information, have wanted to move forward with. The only other possibility, which I don't even know if it's feasible, would be knocking TC down and building on that site. Pretty much, that's it. But what I'm saying is, and I'm sorry I'm in the position of saying, hurry up, but I didn't make the June 10th deadline. That extension was made a year ago or more. And that's the date that if we can't show movement, then we won't have a building elementary project. And you desperately need it, probably more than any other town in the state. You need an elementary school. The schools are really in rough shape. So I'm sorry that I'm offending you by saying, hurry up.
I'm not offended, but it just seems to.
Yeah, and I think it's just,
I'm gonna move this and move that, and I'm gonna do this, and whoops, we got this money.
All right.
And, let's hurry up.
no, I hear you.
All right, we have to move along. I'll let Julie, and then we're gonna take in Virginia, and we're gonna move.
I think what the problem is, it's comes back to a credibility issue. The purchase and sale agreement, that's how it all started with 252 Baldwinville Road. You were gonna enter into a purchase and sale agreement contingent on a full 21E. And all other kinds of contingencies, that never happened. So it's very hard. It doesn't mean that we don't need a new elementary school. Totally get that.
We know that.
Okay? But to do a purchase and sale agreement again, and to tell us with the same attorney that we're going to have all of these contingencies that are going to protect the town, I don't think you can make that claim. I don't think that's credible.
Julie, you know what? I can, because I would never, ever, ever have this town sign and move forward with something that would not have everyone completely understanding it beforehand. So I don't know what happened with the other building, but I do know that I sell real estate in New Hampshire. I know these can be done, and they can be done right. And then you have an opportunity to look at the total cost, to look at the total picture, to see if the guy is gonna you know, if there's gonna be enough pushback from the lien holders to say, look, we're either all, you know, gonna move forward with this or not. But I would not do what you're suggesting ever, but it really truly is almost the last hope, deep breath for the elementary. So I get why you're skeptical, but I'm saying that I would never do that. And as long as I'm involved in this project, this community will know 100% accuracy, even if it's hard for me to say I'm wrong or whatever, that I made a mistake, or you will know 100% the truth as we go through. Just watch the building meetings or I'll get to the newspapers, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna have you buy a piece of land that you can't afford that won't be able to have an elementary building on it. That's just not who I am. It's not gonna happen.
I wonder if, I understand the reluctance, because I have some of the same reluctances. However, I would like to be able to write this somehow, or read this somehow, so that we can begin, even if it's in a very limited fashion, negotiations for the property, just so that they can maintain their connection with the MSBA. I would hate to see them lose it just because we have speculations that may or may not be valid.
Yeah, when we take a motion in a second, then we continue discussion. We have to move this along because we're falling behind on the agenda here.
Bobby, I just want to ask one thing.
Excuse me.
We're gonna have,
Excuse me.
he's gonna take more.
I'm gonna take more
What
questions.
do you mean falling behind? You got all the time in the world. You
Pete, sit down.
falling behind.
All right, we'll take a motion. I'll accept the motion. Move it along here.
I move that the town begin negotiation for the property at 223 Ballinville Road on substantially the same terms and conditions specified in the proposed purchase and sale agreement submitted in response to our request for proposals published in September 21st of 2011 and responded to on October 21st, 2011 by Attorney Richard Chella, acting on behalf of the Colonial Cooperative Bank. I would like to see more wording in that says without any committal.
Thank you.
I think they need a lawyer. To write this up, or we won't.
Well, like has been said here tonight, this doesn't tie the town to anything, and nothing will go forward if it isn't, there's no clear title.
Bobby, why can't they go to this board and tell them that we're having problems here? Why give them a piece of paper that is gonna more than likely be useless? I don't see, in my heart, I don't think you're gonna get an override. You know, because there's money there now, it doesn't mean that there won't be money a year or two down the road. We may make out better. Greenfield's getting more money than we were gonna get. I think that you're being deceitful, and I think you should go and tell them that the town is having a financial crisis that's unbelievable, and see where your chips lay.
Nobody's trying to be deceitful here. It's just like it's been said, they have a meeting tomorrow morning with MSBA. All they're trying to do is satisfy so they can keep moving the project forward. There's gonna be no money involved, and there's going to be no purchase or sale agreement that's gonna go forward if it isn't proper. Dan?
Thank you. I share Ms. Miller's anxiety and others regarding trying to move the process forward for a middle school before we lose the opportunity to be reimbursed. I think that's what a major point is. I share that concern. However, one of the requirements of that process is that the town demonstrate sufficient commitment to the project. This purchase and sales agreement is going to be representative of that commitment. So by saying that the town is not going to be committed, I think that's a misstatement. A second thing is it possible to present the purchase and sales agreement on the website so that we might view it? Or is there a provision within the purchase and sales agreement with all the contingencies that provide for some financial payment should either side withdraw from the agreement?
You lost me on that last one.
Most purchase and sale agreements have a provision that if you don't follow through on what you've agreed to, you'll end up having to pay some amount of money. And I'm asking whether or not this particular agreement has a clause that would say something like that. We don't know, and I don't.
Well, I think that what we're asking is to allow the negotiation to happen, and then that recommendation can be made if they haven't already thought of it. But I agree. So you're saying that if the other party cannot.
I don't know.
There's some misunderstanding, I think. All the board wishes to do is begin negotiation. The board has not proposed signing a purchase and sale on this piece of land, merely negotiating and then coming back to the town with a document that they may or may not sign, that may or may not have terms in it, that, that's a separate discussion, the signature of it. So, and at that time, that question is a valid question. Is there liquidated damages in this purchase and sale agreement, yes or no? You're welcome to insist that it be in there, but that's what the negotiation is to write a document that would put that language in.
Thank you, Jeff. I was misunderstood, so you're not going to sign a P&S agreement?
No.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Representative Andrews and I'm new, okay, so I've worked on the Greenfield High School building and I just worked on Orange Elementary coming off the list with MSBA. But Treasurer Grossman, who oversees that, is a reasonable man. The MSBA is a reasonable group. What they want to know from citizens and town leaders is where are you really in your commitment and your due diligence? And my suggestion might be that the board takes a vote that says we propose to continue on our commitment to move ahead with the elementary school and to begin negotiations with property owners that we've discovered have potential property and leave it at that. And allow myself and Representative Goby to weigh in on your behalf to take your concerns that you want an elementary school, you've had money for feasibility, you've got some land identified, you want to spend the feasibility money to find out the total scope of the project. You're not sure you can afford the whole deal now, because times are a little challenging, but you've got good intent and good commitment to continue with the MSBA as an investor in the school. And to me, that would meet the need, unless I'm missing something. And, we can call, last week, 2 weeks ago at the Orange Board, they took a vote of, do you want to stay on the list or off? It was that simple. Now, they weren't in a feasibility phase of the plan. Okay, so that may have a different twist on that. But if you want, I can step out and make a phone call or two, but I think the issue is over committing to a bank or a lawyer who's not in a position, frankly, to be viable at the moment, to check a box, to move ahead on a project. And to have integrity, the town is saying we want elementary school, and we want to do the feasibility, but we want to do it right, okay? So that's, my thoughts. You're shaking your head, and I have to go through the chair, but that's some thoughts.
And you're absolutely right about what you're saying. The problem is with what happened here at Templeton is that they got the feasibility in 2009. We're going on 4 years and a lot of time looking for land. You're supposed to have land when you get on the list. You're supposed to have